welcome everybody back to the Basement Spins, another episode of quarantine. This is different, but thanks to Zoom, it's still possible. So, just a big adjustment here for us to get used to what the podcast is going to be like. But it's going good. We're adjusting, still having a ton of fun. Anyway, I'm Harrison.
I'm Kelton.
I'm Cade. Let's get this.
Yeah, this week, Thor Ragnarok continuing with the MCU binge, so always jumping immediately into the spoiler wall, our spoiler-free, minute-long, interruption-free reaction to the movie. And Kelton, you got this movie ranked highest, so you get to go first.
That's right, baby. Bring it on. Cade, you got the timer ready? All right, let's do this. Spoiler wall, Thor Ragnarok. So, this is a super, super good movie. And I think it's one that it could definitely stand out from the MCU. Like, if you're just looking to have a good time, watch a great action movie that's hilarious, has great music, solid acting, really, really cool CGI, this is your movie. Like, you don't need to watch... I mean, it helped to watch all the other MCU movies, but this one is great standing alone, and I guarantee you'll enjoy it just by itself, because it's that good. And this one, it's just, it hits you in the feelings really, like, all the time. That's why I have it ranked so high. So, I would 10 out of 10 recommend this movie, and I think you guys will really enjoy this podcast, like, after watching it and everything. So, make sure to listen up after the spoiler wall, too. So, there's my minute.
Cool. So, would you recommend it, to answer the question we always do?
100%. Every time.
Uh-huh.
All right. All right, Kate, do you want to go next, or you want me to?
You go first.
Okay. Pretty much ditto everything Kelton said. This movie's just, like, a ton of fun. Especially, like, it's a soft reboot to the Thor movie, so if you're kind of ousted by those before, it's way different. It's a comedy, which has really good comedy. Like, it's improvised, and you can just tell. And then the dialogue between exposition, comedy, character arcs, and emotion, like, it all just fits perfectly. So, the acting and casting is perfect. Like, Chris Hemsworth is so funny, and I did not know that until this movie. But also Cate Blanchett as Hela, she's probably like 75% of the reason I love this movie. She just kills it. Mark Ruffalo's a ton of fun, but it's got a Matt Damon cameo, if you're into those things. I don't know, it's just a movie that's easy to enjoy. It's hard not to enjoy, really. But, of course, as we always do in the Basement Binge, we're going to find some good emotion and personal growth value from it, which took a little bit more of some digging for me to do. Like, that emotion is there. I feel it every time. It just doesn't last as long as, say, others. But it's still good, still worthwhile, and a ton of fun. So, yes, I would recommend it.
All right, Cade.
All right, let's get this going. So, I realized, listening to you guys and after watching this movie, it has a certain level of maturity to it, so that the jokes are funnier, the story means more, and that the characters are more relatable. And this movie's got all of that because, you know, it's the third movie of the Thor franchise, I guess, and it delivers so well. And I forgot that my wife hasn't seen it, so I need to get her to sit down. She hasn't seen it. It came out when she was on her mission, so she was never able to have the opportunity to sit down fully and watch it. And I think this is such a relatable and great movie for anybody. It's it's relatable in more ways than one. The bad guy Hela, she's one of probably the most powerful bad guys I've ever seen. But I recommend this for anyone and everybody, 100%.
Alrighty, so thanks everybody for listening to the Basement Binge spoiler wall. So if you have not seen this movie, honestly, I don't know how you haven't. Go enjoy it. Everyone loves this movie. Like, I really haven't found someone who didn't at least enjoy this movie. So go enjoy it. Come back, download the main episode, listen to the whole thing, because it's going to be full-fledged spoilers ahead. Other super side note to all our listeners, this week was going to be the week that we chose the winner for our giveaway, but I feel bad because we moved the podcast ahead because some scheduling things. So we're going to give you one more week.
Uno week.
So one more week after this movie, which is, I believe, Black Panther. I could have my order wrong. But whatever's next, when we get to that, you're not going to have a chance to answer a survey and win a free movie. But you can win a free movie. You just answer like a 30-second survey. It is so easy. you will win a movie to own. So,
Full send, everybody. Go do it.
Yeah.
Full send.
Anyway, on to the regular scheduled program.
All right, we're going to start us off with 2 cents. I just realized nobody can see me as I pose for the video. Doesn't matter. So, everyone, for this part of the podcast, this is where we actually talk about our initial impression from the movie without holding back. So, there may be spoilers or whatever. So, we all get 2 minutes, talk about initial impression, and we'll move on. So, Cade, start my timer. All right, sick. So, from the very get-go of this movie, I get super hyped. You guys know this. I'm a hype man. I live to do that crap. So when I get a sick soundtrack with some sick fighting, I instantly love the movie. Because this, I don't know why, but watching Thor fight is a lot of fun. Because he's able to do things that, like, kind of steers away from your traditional fighting. And it's not something that we've generally seen before. I know, like, each of the other superheroes in the MCU have, like, their thing, their way of fighting, their style, right? But for some reason, I just love Thor's. He's just, like, even from, like, Thor 2, when he's, like, swinging the hammer and he just takes off that, like, giant rock monster's freaking face, that's sick. But then in this one, like, his creativity to use his hammer as, like, a weapon or also as, like, a dope prop, like when he's right in the beginning of that giant like fire drake thing, he just drops his hammer in its mouth and he's just chilling, just like waiting for what's his face to beam him up. So like that's just fun, man. It, like in the heat of the moment, it's hard to like, I don't know, I feel like I'd struggle like fighting in a super dope intense like scene and everything. So to be able to like be creative and like use it in different ways to just kick butt is super entertaining. Anyways, and then the final fight scene, hot dang. I'm going to wait for that because I know we're going to talk about that later, but that is killer. Arguably one of the greatest, like, superhero fight scenes, pump-up songs of all time. But I really connected on this movie, like, in the sense of Thor's character arc. I thought it was really, really good. And I don't know about you guys, but I think Thor goes through some pretty harsh, like, arguably, he goes through, like, the worst of it as an Avenger to, like, develop into somebody good and a great superhero. And so watching him, like, having to, like, suffer and, like, have a heartbreaking moment every single freaking movie, I just, like, connect with him a lot. And so I thought this movie was absolutely fantastic. Loved it. That's why it's number 3 for me, so solid, dude.
Nice.
Solid,
well, I'll go next.
Solid, dude.
All right, here we go.
Okay, all right. So this movie, man, can I just like copy and paste everything Kellen said? But this movie's just a ton of fun. Like it's so hard not to enjoy. Like, like Kellen said, you see Thor go through like some really really hard stuff, but it's so fun. Like this movie just looks great. Like the way it's designed, like primary colors all over the place with like a synthy 80s type vibe. Like the music and score is super fun. Like everything from Immigrant Song to the synth sound, like it's just a ton of fun. I already talked about in my spoiler wall how Kate Blanchett and Chris Hemsworth are so like entertaining to watch in this movie. Like I just love watching the way they portray those characters. But the comedy is a ton of fun. It's just like a broken record, but it's just hard not to enjoy every part of it. I mean, but it's also really good too, and I didn't appreciate it until this time around, the way that the character arc for both Thor and Banner and Hulk goes. Like, especially knowing where they go in the future with Infinity War and Endgame, like, this movie in that continual arc for both of them makes way more sense and is, like, actually really, really solid in that way. And Kellen's right. Thor just goes through some rough stuff, but he learns and it's good. But of course, my favorite Tom Hiddleston is Loki with his beautiful hair. He's in it, so of course I gotta love on that. But it's just good. Like it's solid, dude. Yeah, I'm just kidding.
Solid, dude.
It's just really, really enjoyable. Tons of fun. I was laughing the whole time, and I was watching the movie by myself on my laptop, and I was laughing out loud because it was just a ton of fun. But I just feel like I'm repeating myself. I'm trying to think of some other things here. I love that Thor doesn't have his hammer, that it gets inventive. Like, it really is just a solid, soft reboot. Like, everything good about Thor it keeps, and then everything that was, like, weighing it down, literally, with the hammer, just throws out and comes up with new things to make it way more fun. So, I love it. It's high up there on the list.
Solid, dude.
Solid, dude. Solid. All right, here we go. The best 2 cents. This is how it's going down. Here's what I realized. In this movie, this is the Loki we wanted. That this whole thing is that you watch the first Thor and it's like these 10-year-olds arguing with each other. As much as I love that movie. And Thor 2 gets better. And then this one is like everyone just kind of matures into their own, and it's just this solid characters everywhere. I realized that Thor's hammer, Mjolnir, is he made Thor unstoppable. This is the way he used it. Like, he faced that huge armor in the beginning and took out that massive monster and what's his face with the eyebrow crown. He was he was unstoppable. No one could stop him. No one could hold back. He was just all powerful. He could take down everybody, and then he loses the hammer so quick, so easily. Hell just takes it out so quick. And then you think well, now what? What can Thor do now? What does he have left? And you see him be inventive and really stupid sometimes. But I think Thor has, other than Rocket, Thor has one of the worst origin stories because of how bad it is. And I'm not saying they're horrible and boring, but it's just so all this bad stuff happens in our life. And so that's why I love Thor, because he is thousands, hundreds of thousands of years old, but he still mourns. So I don't want to talk about that more and fall in, but I love Thor throughout this whole movie, and you just enjoy it through and through.
All right. That is our 2 cents, everybody. That goes to our next segment. Which is
Pick Your Poison and Rankings. Let's do this. Pick your poison first. You have 4 choices to never watch again, to rent or stream, or it's to stream on a streaming service, rent it, and buy the movie. This movie, if you want to buy one MCU movie, this would be that movie. You could argue for that, honestly. Now, if you want to include all the other guys, you can buy Avengers: Infinity War, Endgame. But this one, you can argue this would be if you can only buy 5 MCU movies, this would be in that 5.
all right. Not bad. Where's your ranking at?
My rankings overall, it's at a 5. Let's see where it is in phase 3. It's probably at the top. I wouldn't doubt that. I might be surprised if it wasn't. It's at a 4, actually. Thor Ragnarok for me. Makes sense. I want to move it up, but the ones above it are just so freaking good. So it's just an awesome movie. Well, you, Kelton?
My Pick My Poison, pretty solid. If it's number 3 on my list, you gotta own it, man. This is one, I think it's so good. I've watched this. So I saw this right when I came home because it came out while I was on my mission. But I've watched this 4 times since I've been home. Complete entertainment every single day time. Never bored. I wouldn't mind watching it tomorrow and the day after that. It's that good. So if you don't own this movie, I would suggest buying it. And then, like we said before, in my overall rankings, I have this at number 3 overall of the 23 movies. And same thing for Phase 3, because the other 2 movies ahead of it are from Phase 3. So I don't see this budging, but who knows? Things happen. Things change. So, not bad. What about you, Harrison?
So my Pick My Poison, definitely buy it, easy buy. I've rewatched this movie so many times that I would have been wasting money if I did anything else. And it's a would rewatch in the future. My rankings, this is also at number 5 for the whole MCU. In Phase 3, it's just 1 seat up, number 4, because there was only one movie above it that wasn't in Phase 3. But, kind of side note, looking at my list here, I'm so confused because... So, my top 4 movies for Phase 3 are all in my top 5 for the whole saga, but they're in a different order. Does that make sense? So, like 2, 3, 4, and 5 are... for the whole saga are 1, 2, 3, 4 in Phase 3, but they're in different orders. What the heck? Yeah,
That's
whatever.
interesting.
It works out in my head.
Human error.
So, yeah, it's a solid movie. Everybody go enjoy this movie again. You know, even if you're just listening to the podcast, you're like, oh, I love this movie forever. Go watch it again and love it this time.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And actually,
oh, go ahead.
Little note about our rankings. Oh, nope, just kidding. It's actually, so of all the movies we've watched so far, this is ranked the second highest. Like, between the three of us. The first one so far, the best ranking one we've watched so far as a group has been Captain America: The Winter Soldier. And then this is number 3. So, guys, if you've been listening to every single episode and you haven't watched a bunch of the movies, this would be one of them to go watch. Because, hot dang, it's a good movie.
Yeah, it really is a solid movie. So let's kind of get into the nitty gritty of it. And a big part of this movie for me isn't like all the falling in emotion. Like, I know it's there, it's just not huge for me. A huge part of this movie and my enjoyment of it is the next segment, binge points. The super fun Easter eggs, details, you know, funny lines, whatever it is you want to point out, things that you just enjoy in binging this movie. And I want to go first and point out my favorite one that I talked about so much in Thor: The Dark World, even though it was only like 10 seconds. Anthony Hopkins, who plays Odin, pretending to be Loki, pretending to be Odin, is probably one of like the best acting I've ever seen ever. Like, it is so good. Like,
so funny. It's first reaction. Oh shiz.
Yeah, like, I really could have 100% believed that was Loki using magic to be Odin because the acting is just so top notch. I just love it every time. I love it. So that's my first binge point. I mean, I loved it in Thor: Dark World, but for totally different reasons, and they work both ways, both like the seriousness and the comedy in this movie. So
yeah.
Anyway, probably a waste of time.
I do want to point out with that scene, people that acted in that play, there's a lot of big names in there, and they had like total of 5 minutes of screen time. Matt Damon. What the heck? Matt freaking Damon is in there. Like, what on earth? That threw me off. I was like, Jason Bourne.
I don't know about you guys, but that was like pretty bad acting too. Like, it was pretty dang funny to watch.
And it's like intentionally bad acting. It is so funny.
I don't know. I find that so
sorry
funny.
The Tesseract and stuff. I just couldn't help myself.
Couldn't help myself. Or like when he's like, "What, I turned you into a toad," and then Anthony Hopkins, Odin's like, "That indeed was hilarious."
Just watching a great actor intentionally act bad, it's hilarious. Like, I love that scene. It's so good.
No, it is hilarious.
But
like, this is a super stupid thing, but in the credits, like the stylized credits at the end, when it shows, I forget her name, she's in charge of the casting for the whole MCU. When it shows her name as casting, it does like a little silhouette of the stage play, and it just made me laugh. Like, of course, you know.
That's sick. Dang. So,
anyway,
Easter egg that I have. I think one of the movies. One of the parts about this movie that I really, really like is when Hela breaks down the ceiling in the throne room. And I think it's super, super cool to like get a look at the history of Asgard and what Odin and Hela did to kind of like start the Asgardian Empire. And we kind of get glimpses, like just little kind of throwbacks to it as Hela goes like underground to waken all the dead Asgardians and to waking up her like dope A wolf and all that stuff. But I think I would absolutely love a movie about that.
Or a TV series or just some sort of thing that show us like what went down, because that was, gosh, I'd love to see that. It'd be so cool.
Yeah, like just see that, like their rise to power and how they just freaking own people. Because you remember, I think it's in Thor 1 when we get to see Odin like fight against the frost giants, and he has this like giant scepter thing and he just like lasers everyone. I think it's in that one. But dude, can you imagine him and Hela just tearing it up together? Hela on a
can
wolf,
we get a Disney Plus series where we got Odin and Hela just going nuts?
I feel like it has to be the same actors. Like,
oh yeah, you gotta bring Cate Blanchett back.
Oh,
like,
dude,
she is so good in this movie. I'm probably gonna talk about her so much, and it's like a creepy combination where like she's super beautiful but like terrifying at the same time.
Oh yeah,
and it like I don't know how to feel about it, and it's like it like adds to the evilness of her. But yeah, like make it a Disney Plus series where it starts with like Odin and Hela, you know, building Asgard, and then have the Valkyrie come and take her down.
Yes.
Just, like that flashback scene, I'm like, I gotta know.
My gosh,
I gotta see this in more
I don't
detail.
know about it, but the whole kind of perspective of that. No. The perspective of that flashback was so like I don't know, like the CGI or whatever, but it felt super cool. Like it felt like a flashback.
The music the whole way, I was like pretending like slow motion.
Yeah, it I don't know why, but watching it, I felt like there was fuzziness around the edges. You know, like I was watching it. I don't remember if there was. But it was just really cool to see that. And I'd love to see, like, a full-out battle in that kind of, like, lighting and like, CGI stuff. And that was sweet. So, yeah, Harrison, we got to start something to, like, get Disney Plus to hook us up. Because I would totally watch that. But, yeah, any part of this movie when it kind of shows, like, the history of Asgard and, like, the paintings and, like, the dope dead Asgardians, I thought that was super entertaining and way fun to watch.
Yeah. Speaking of Disney Plus, you know, I watched the documentary, like on the National Geographic things of Jeff Goldblum. Something about Jeff Goldblum of the world according to Jeff Goldblum. And after watching that and then rewatching this movie, I'm pretty sure that Taika Waititi to Jeff Goldblum was just like, just be yourself. Like, you're just the perfect grandmaster as yourself. And it is so funny. Every scene he's in, it's hilarious.
Yeah, like he really sold it. That was awesome. I do want to point out that when Hela, she breaks the ceiling paint stuff down, and then Thor walks through and shows his face, it has a crack through his eye, which is a foreshadow of him losing his eye in the fight.
I did not see that. That's cool.
Yeah, I was like looking at some guy who was like, everything you missed in Thor Ragnarok. All that was like clickbait YouTube stuff.
Oh, yeah.
He pointed that out. I was like, oh, shiz. Didn't know that.
Another cool thing is the timing on Sakaar. Like, so they're in the Bifrost, the Bifrost, and like Loki gets thrown out into Sakaar like seconds before Thor Ragnarok, dude. It's like 10 seconds. But then he gets to Sakaar, and Loki's like, I've been here for weeks. And it like shows, I just love that like a small detail that just shows how different time is on Sakaar. So like, you know, if like 10 seconds equals a few weeks, how old is Hulk if he was there for 2 years? Like,
yeah, we're getting into some interstellar stuff, man. I'm telling you.
So hold up. 3 seconds equals 2 weeks. Is that what it is?
It's like 10 seconds. I don't know. It's rough math.
That maneuver is going to cost us a couple years.
So it's probably like 10 seconds difference between the two of them. And then Loki says, I've been here for a few weeks. And my head, a few is like 3 weeks, I would say.
Yeah.
Dang. That's way cool.
I mean, I want to know what happens on Sakaar. Like, you get, like, Hulk becoming the champion, the Grandmaster champion, and then there's also, like, where Hulk's face is being built on the tower. You also have, like, Beta Ray Bill and a ton of other people that I don't recognize. Like, come on, I want to know details. Like, this movie's just packed full of, like, more stuff I want to see.
I just realized, so Loki said he's been on Sakaar for a couple of weeks. And then he sees the champion for the first time when Thor shows up.
Oh, interesting.
Well, how often were they having the?
That's true. I don't know if they ever
fight
mentioned like how often they had.
I don't know if it was like a weekly thing or like a once a month kind of thing.
And then Loki also said it took him a while to like get up to being respected by the Grandmaster. So maybe he was just out in the middle of nowhere. You know, wasn't even near the tournament.
Sliming around. Who knows? It's crazy.
Speaking of that arena, I'm gonna point this out every time I watch this movie. So the line when Thor sees Hulk for the first time, he's like, he's a friend from work. That was improvised by a kid who was there on the set of Thor Ragnarok through the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Really?
So, like,
really?
Yeah. Chris Hemsworth in an interview was saying that like so much of this movie was improvised. Like 98% of it they were improvising.
98%
so they were
of the
doing
movie
takes
was
for
improvised?
That's what Chris Hemsworth said in an interview. But so he's on set, the kid from Make-A-Wish Foundation, and Chris Hemsworth's in between takes talking to him, and the kid's like, you should just say he's a friend from work. So he's like, I like it, so he just threw it in there. I just think it's so sick.
Dude, that's awesome. And like, I think that makes the movie way much better. Why it's so good is because a lot of it's just improvised. Because it's like, it's pretty crazy. Every scene has like 5 hilarious moments. If you think about it.
So much of this movie is just quotable. Like, no joke, 2 quotes that I say all the time is when, what's his name? What's his name?
Rock
the
dude?
guy. No, not the Rock dude. The guy who has the 2 lines on his head. I just forgot his name.
Oh.
No, not Surtur.
I can't remember.
I know what you're talking about though.
No, not Sakar. That's the place. What is his name?
It's with an S.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Oh, Surtur. But when he like walks over to these, he's like, "Behold, my stuff." Like I say that all the time.
Behold,
my wife and I
stuff.
My wife and I were eating, and so I was watching it with her, and she could hear. And he said that line. She's like, "You say that all the time. Is that what this is from?" I was like, "Yep." And then the other one is when they're in the Quinjet, and Banner like scans his hand, and it's like strongest Avenger, and Thor in the background is like, what?"
What?
Like if something funny happens or dumb, I'm just like, what?
Dang you, Tony Stark. Point Break.
Yeah, I mean, like there's another scene where Loki's like, "Come on, hit her with a lightning bolt," and then Thor's like, "I just blasted her with the biggest lightning bolt in the history of lightning bolts."
Meet Dez and Troy, and together they destroy. One thing I love about that is he just has like 2 freaking machine guns in like an Asgardian time. We see dudes with like swords and scepters, and he's just out here gunning like freaking aliens left and right.
With his info clip, he goes forever. He must have extended mags on or something.
He has like he's just holding the finger down, and he dropped like 150 rounds each gun.
Yeah,
I'm like, wait, is he gonna run out or what? Guns just show up and they've got magical ammo.
Yeah, it's funny.
So, any other Easter eggs we want to mention?
There was one that I'm just confused about. I want to know. So I noticed at the fight scene on the bridge when Thor's fighting Hela, he forms a sword just like Hela and Loki do. Like, you know, like out of nowhere, like kind of magically.
I thought he picked one up.
Infinite. Oh, maybe he picked one up. I don't know. I just like noticed in like one scene he was charging at her with lightning, and then it kind of looked like a sword formed out of the lightning, and then he started fighting her with the sword.
I didn't catch that.
Maybe I just wasn't paying good enough attention. I don't know. Is that just like an Asgardian ability? If so, I'm jealous.
Playing out of swords.
Oh. Yeah, that was
Sick. They all have the same stance. They throw them out just. Loki,
so cool.
Thor, and Hela do all of that.
That's just sick.
Yeah.
Dope.
I don't have any others, though.
I'm sure I'd have some, but my mind's just drawing a blank right now, so.
Yeah. Anyways.
Alright, I think this is our next segment.
Let's do this. Oh my gosh, what is the next segment? I completely forgot.
Wait, is it me?
Yeah.
Oh, frick! My bad, okay. Guys, buckle up. We're about to enter the leasts and likes. Am I right?
Yeah.
Heck yeah! Okay. Guys, this is our point. This is the part of the podcast when we talk about our least favorite scene and our favorite scene, because who doesn't like to talk about things they hate and like? So, we'll start off with our least favorite scene and then go to our favorite scene. So, what do you guys think?
I got my least favorite. I got one.
Okay, send it.
Okay. The scene where they go through the devil's anus, when they show up to Asgard, there's a split moment where like the ship's like in limbo, and all three, like Banner, Thor, and oh jeez, what's her face?
Valkyrie.
Well, she's a Valkyrie, but what's her name?
Valkyrie chick.
According to IMDb, her name is Valkyrie.
Valkyrie chick.
Okay, Valkyrie chick. They're all passed out, right? That scene,
scene.
it starts slow, it pans out, it pans backwards to show the ship is in limbo, and then it shows them passed out. When I was watching that for the first time, I saw them, I was like, oh crap. Like, shoot, what are they going to do? And then they just wake up. It's like, oh, that was anticlimactic. Like, what was that? Like,
yeah, what was the point of falling asleep?
Yeah.
Was it to be like the same ideas in like Guardians of the Galaxy when they go through the jump points? Like when their faces are all stretched out? Like it kind of leaned towards that when they were going through it. And then they're just asleep. It was like, what the heck?
Yeah, it didn't make any sense. But like, they were, but the number two, Banner's the first one to wake up. Like, dude, it's Thor and Valkyrie. Like, they're compared to Banner, they're like a lot stronger. They could handle things more. And he's the first one to wake up. Like,
yeah, that was also my least favorite scene. I was just like, what the heck? Like, you got to transition somehow, but that just was a weird way to
I feel like they
transition.
should have gone somewhere else where they crashed and that woke them up or something like that. But I was just like, bro, that was,
or just not
you could have
fall
gone
asleep at
somewhere
all.
with that and you didn't go anywhere. That was lame.
So, yeah, Kate and I are just going to keep hating on this unless Kellen's got a different one.
Not gonna lie, I'm having a hard time thinking of one, but I can't think of, like, it's not necessarily a scene, but, like, how a character acted. And it's when Valkyrie chick, because, you know, the whole first half of the movie, she's just like, you know, I don't care, I don't give a crap, like, screw those Valkyries, Asgardians, that whole thing, right? And then, like, all of a sudden, she has her moment with Loki, and she, like, remembers her whole Valkyrie dead people thing. And it's like, boom, she reverse flips, like, super quick. Which I understand needed to happen, but I just felt like it was rushed a little bit. And kind of strange how she's, like, so completely, I don't care, I just want to get drunk, to, like, oh my gosh, I wanted to go risk my life now, you know what I'm saying? Like, I felt like...
It was a quick turn.
I felt like more needed to happen, or she needed to be not so, like, I don't care in the beginning. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But, like, that's not even, like, a thing that I really, like, dislike. It's just, I can't really think of anything else.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I mean,
that was
I
kind
would
of a
say
weird
that.
way to do it.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yo, it's like hard to find something to dislike in this movie. Like, we're complaining about a character like changing their mind, and then about a transition scene that's insignificant. Like, that just shows you how good this movie is.
Yeah, honestly, there's really not that much bad stuff. So, all right, let's get to our favorite scene.
Do it.
Okay, I want to go first.
Okay, go.
No, I don't. I have like 5 different ones I want to talk about. Somebody else go.
I'll go first. No, I won't. Favorite scene. Okay, go.
I know what mine is. Immediately, it is the scene where Valkyrie comes and gets Thor and Banner, and then they go back to like whatever room she's in, and Loki's changed up. And the scene where, you know, like Valkyrie goes and gets him, and then they come back and Loki's changed up, and Thor throws a cup at him. Like, everything, not just a cup throw, but like that whole scene all the way until they leave that room. Like, everything about it the whole time they're in there, the way that Bruce Banner talks to Loki for the first time and like gives him weird facials, the way that like Chris Hemsworth makes up the theory about Loki turning into a snake and stabbing him. Like, it's just, everything about it is just so funny to me. And it's just like the way the actors work together and improvise together, I just find so enjoyable every time.
That's a good scene. It's so funny. It's just like, I feel like I know you too. That's weird. And like the whole thing where, so Loki, last time I saw you, you were killing people these days. So what are you up to now? Oh no, it changes from moment to moment, and then freaks Banner out.
And then his face is like.
I want, this might be my favorite scene, but the scene where they're in the elevator and then Thor, like, after that, this heart-to-heart moment, and Thor turns to Loki and he's like, let's do get help. It's like, I don't want to do get help. It works every time. I don't want to do get help.
It's humiliating.
It's humiliating.
Not for me.
It's like, opens the elevator and it's like, get help, my brother, he's dying. Help him. And he just throws.
So funny.
Yeah.
It's
All right.
so good.
Okay, I've kind of processed my favorite scene. So, I don't know about you guys, but I think when Thor, you know, goes all lightning on everybody, and the music, it's so epic. It's hard, it's just kind of untouched, you know, in my mind, of like best scene. But I want to talk, this is part, I don't know what I want to say for fun, but I'm going to say it anyways, just superficially, and then I'll get into it and fall in. But when it happens twice, it's when the Hulk is beating on Thor on the ground, like going crazy, and his helmet comes off, and then he has those flashbacks of Odin, and then when Hela's doing it to him, like up on the balcony, and she like stabs him, like those flashbacks, and then when they're like Thor just gets like supercharged and just super amped, and then just goes ham, like, guys, I got chills, and even talking about it or thinking about it gives me chills. Because it was so sick just to watch. Like, you could just feel, especially with the Hulk one, as like slow motion, just like pounding the crap out of Thor. Like, each hit, like, you could like feel, I don't know, I was shaking with each hit. But like the music just like sets it up. You're just like, oh shiz, dude, here we go. And then like Thor just goes nuts. Like, whoo, dude, I'm tingling right now. Hot day. I love those scenes. But that's all I'm going to talk about right now.
So
Those are my favorites.
I think I don't know. I just love how funny that scene is, but the action scene is just. It's the whole. It's got to be Hulk and Thor's fight in the arena. That's my favorite. All right. Anything else?
I think we're
Okay.
good.
All right. This is the segment of all segments. This is where we get into the meat of the podcast. This is where you want to learn something about a movie. This is where to learn it. This is fall in. This is where we talk about the emotions. This is where we talk about the messages of the movie. Talk about what we felt connected to, because life is all about connections. Let's get to it. Who's down? Who's up first?
I just want to talk about one super quick. I don't have a ton to say about it besides just the movie is so well done that, like, how many times does a movie use the phrase, like, I'm not as strong as you, and then the person replies, no, you're stronger. Like, that is, like, the most cliche, unoriginal response ever, but it lands perfectly every time, no matter how many times I see this movie. And, like, it's not just that moment that's well done, it's, like, the whole movie building up to it that makes that scene actually have emotional value and not just seem like, oh, another typical unoriginal response to a question. You know, like, it just lands so well in the timing in the movie, in the whole way the movie builds up to that moment, and the acting is just, like, I'm really, really impressed how well that line lands. Because I remember watching it the first time and Thor was like, I'm not as strong as you, and I was like, oh, I bet they came up with, like, some super cool original response, and then he said, no, you're stronger, and I was like, oh, like, I felt that, like, wow, that actually worked. I'm just impressed, like, just well done.
That's true. Yeah, that's a very cliche moment. Right before he says that cliche line, it's just like, I don't know if you guys had this moment when you first watched it, where, like, Thor comes down and he falls on his knees and he's, like, being all dramatic. It's very serious moment, and Thor's like, I can't do it. Like, she's too strong. I can't defeat her without my hammer. And then Odin's like, one eye, super old dude. Are you Thor, God of Hammers? I kind of laughed at myself and didn't really take it seriously. But I was like, that's true. You're not God of Hammers. So it's like sometimes we think we know who we are, but we actually don't completely. Like, Thor had a good idea. He had a good run with his hammer, but that wasn't the real reason. That's not his real strength. So I think the best thing is that you go with what you got. That's a really bad word. That's really, really bad way to put it. You do the best with what you have, and then if anything else comes along, you are willing to adapt. Because some people are just they want to do the same thing over and over again. Just like Loki kind of had the same sort of moment where, you know, as Loki was being shocked by Thor with that, like, whatever it's called. Yeah, he's like saying, Loki, you're becoming predictable. Like, you gotta change and adapt and everything. And that's where Loki kind of has a bit of a change. You know, and things change, so we need to change with it.
Yeah, I think that line is perfect because Thor says to Loki, he's like, life is about change and growth. You'll always be the god of chaos, but you can be so much more. And, like, I think this whole movie is about change. Like, Thor, you start the movie with Thor being changed when we have ever seen him before. And not just, like, in the comedy sense, but, like, you can tell that the person of Thor has gone through some things through these past movies, that his outlook on life is very different. And he's motivated and driven to the point where he, like, takes on a whole army in some flying dragon thing without wings. Like, he's just, like, straight up unstoppable, like you guys said. And it's not until, like, what he previously thought was his best is no longer good enough that there's, like, more growth. And, you know, that happens to everybody in life. You know, it's a really cool idea behind, like, seeing how strong you actually are and growing and continually becoming better, but also how, like, life forces you to change because of how hard it can be to you.
Also, the point where, like, Thor loses a lot. He loses his confidence. He loses his father, and he loses his home, and he's still being positive about it. And it's just, so it doesn't matter how old you are, life stuff like this happens to you. So it's a matter of being able to adapt to that, to stay positive. And it's hard. It's, I guess the base of the story, it's hard for everybody because Thor's hundreds of thousands of years old, and he struggled with it, and he had to fight through it. He wasn't immune to it. So it's, bad things happen to everyone, and everyone can get over it. Everyone can get past it. Everyone can move on. Like your age or your circumstance is never really impossible. You can get past it.
Yeah, I think you kind of touched on a little bit of what I wanted to talk about, like with his whole father scene, right before he fights Hela, or kind of mid-fight, I guess. When he's talking, like when Odin says, I actually have the quote right here. It's like, when Thor says, "She's too strong without my hammer. I can." Odin says, "Are you Thor, the god of hammers? That hammer was to help you control your power, to focus it. It was never your source of strength." I love that, because I think with what you were talking about, I feel like a lot of the times we do get kind of distracted, and we kind of get caught up in a certain thing on what we can or can't do, and being reminded, in that way, a lot of those moments, they're super hard to take. They suck a lot, but I always notice those are the times when I've grown the most. And I think we see Thor go through that in this moment as he realizes who he is and what he can do, and he kind of gets confidence in himself. But also, as I kind of mentioned with favorite scenes, those moments of when he's in a low, hitting rock bottom, when he's really struggling, he has a moment to look back on and kind of draw strength from it to kind of empower him. And for Thor, it's obviously his father, who he is idolized and sees as the perfect Asgardian king, and someone who's all-knowing, super powerful, has a ton of wisdom. So I think everyone should have those moments to look back on to empower you, whether it be what someone said to you, something you saw from a movie or a certain song, or a memory, whatever it may be, just to kind of help you, kind of give you a reservoir of strength to pull from. Because I feel in my life, I've been able to cope with a lot of things, and my life hasn't been super hard, but they're hard for me in its own certain way. And having things to fall back on, whether it be supportive family or friends, but also those moments when I could look back and be yes, I can do hard things, helps me a ton. Even though it doesn't solve my problems, it just gives me kind of the endurance needed to either deal with things or be able to overcome certain challenges I have. So I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but in this movie, that's why I connected so much with it, is because I could relate to Thor a lot, of having something to fall back on and to help you be strong and do what you need to do.
Yeah, I honestly didn't really notice that watching it, but having you talk about it, it fits perfectly. And I love how you described it, particularly the word you had, a reservoir of strength. I think that's super crucial for Thor specifically, and I think especially in our own lives, there's a lot of things that reservoir of strength can apply to. I think another big arc or theme that I noticed was kind of the understanding of identity and accepting yourself, which I think is so directly related to this. I think in a way Thor believed himself as the god of hammers, and I think it comes down a lot to how we define ourselves allows us to pull from different strengths. I don't know, you see people all the time that there's a type of cockiness or confidence or arrogance about them because of something that they do or something that they've accomplished and something that they have achieved, and not because of who they are. And it is nowhere near to actual self-confidence. And how are you able to pull from your inner strength when you're not actually confident in that strength that you have in yourself? And I think it's a huge, totally different mindset that you have to get into to believe in yourself as someone who is stronger, as someone who is the god of thunder, not the god of hammers. And I think it also has to do with Hulk, like that scene where Thor says like no one on Earth likes you, and Hulk gets like way sad. Like that scene makes me sad because like Hulk has constantly struggled to understand who he is and understand like what his identity is, and I think it's the beginning of him thinking about what that means, and it goes so much more in Infinity War and Endgame, which I love. But I think what you were saying, Kelton, it's so related to like your identity, but also like your strength to understand that you can get through things, you know, and you're not going to have that strength if you don't have a proper understanding of who you really are.
Yeah, and something I watched this video once that talked about like trials and stuff like that. And there's this one point where the video talks about like Newton's law, like for every reaction there's an equal and opposite reaction. And they apply it to like life is like, say you have some really hard challenges, like cuz I know people out there like they go through like not the exact same kind of situation as Thor, but maybe like they have big like family problems, or like they lose people they care about and they love. But like when they have those really bad times, it increases their capacity for good. Like this is all like on a personal level, like your ability to cope, I think. But if you feel such sorrow, you could have an equal and opposite reaction of like happiness and joy. Like your capacity to recognize good things, I think is like the video talks about how it's so much greater. And so I think that really, that's how I believe life is like if we go through hard times like Thor did, we're going to be able to like see and recognize when the good times are happening and appreciate them that much more, and kind of just help our overall perspective in life.
Yeah. I think the word that I would use to describe it is just like growth in every way, like in everything, including the growth in the ability to feel those positive and joyful emotions. And like growth isn't building something new or like creating something out of nothing. It's just expanding what is already there to, to more, expanding into more.
Yeah, you don't have to drop everything and change, make this new thing out of the blue to be something great or better. It's just add something a little different to what you're doing.
Yeah. So, it's a solid movie.
Yeah, I love this movie.
Yeah, it's really, really good.
Great takes, gentlemen.
Who knew?
Yeah, this is a great podcast.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. So, thanks everyone for listening. We appreciate it. We've got some good things coming. We've reached some significant download goals that we've set. Please go take the survey. The link is in the description, show notes, whatever you want to call it. Yes, please take the
survey. It's very short, very quick. Just 10 questions, correct?
I think it's 8 questions. Even less.
8 questions to take.
It is short. So, yeah, that link is going to be at the very top of the show notes. If you're on an app, where you just download it somewhere, you don't have the show notes, you can go to basementbinge.podbean.com and click on any one of the recent episodes, and we'll have that survey for you to take. You can win a free movie. You could win this movie, and then you can watch it as many times as you want.
Come on, guys.
Or it could be a different movie.
Whatever you want.
Good choice.
So, yeah, thanks everyone for listening. We got some pretty exciting things coming. We're going to start something new with the quarantine happening. We're going to continue our MCU binge next week with Black Panther, I think, is what's next.
Yeah, I think
Isn't it Avengers Infinity War?
No, it's Black. We got to hit Black Panther before Infinity War.
Okay, yeah. That's true.
Let's check. We'll let him know. Hold on. It takes like 2 seconds for it to load. But also, while I'm pulling it up, we're going to start doing some things, watching some other movies outside of the MCU that we're going to kind of supplement our main podcast with. Give you guys some more to listen to during this, while you're stuck in your house. I'm pretty excited. So
during the quarantine special. I just made that up on the spot. I don't know if
the quarantine
stick,
special.
Something.
Nice menu.
Cool. So, yeah, MCU movie next, Black Panther, quarantine special. Yeah, anyway. Thanks, everyone, for listening.
Yes.
All right.
Catch you later.
We shall see you later. Peace out, home dogs.
What it do, baby?